2 lifelong friends, 1 local establishment. The hidden truth is out there, and we're going to talk about it. What happens in the bar no longer stays in the bar. This is Conspiracy Beerists.
And welcome to the latest episode of Conspiracy Beerists. As you can plainly see, if you're watching the video, we're doing this not only on audio, but we are also doing video podcasts now. So Brian, how you doing?
Good. This is pretty sweet.
And today we're going to talk about many things, but sort of the main topic that we're going to talk about is what I'm calling conspiracy in numbers. So we're going to talk about numerology, Gematria or Gematria, depending on how you want to name it or call it, and talk a little bit about Bible codes. And we got a few other surprises mixed in as well. So what's been going on?
Lots of crazy stuff. Well, I guess that Wayfair is a little hoaxish. One of the girls came out and said that she's not missing. She was all angry and did a live feed on YouTube or Facebook. And so that knocks it down for a little bit. But there are some strange things that still happen in this Wayfair thing.
Right. And did we talk about that last time? I think we did, but
probably just a little bit.
If we didn't and you're not aware, just do a Google search on the whole Wayfair hoax or conspiracy that they were putting child slavery, child trafficking on their website in the guise of expensive furniture, and it's been debunked. And like Brian said, one of the
I wouldn't say it's debunked totally, because they debunk fucking everything right away. So I don't know.
No, I debunk everything right away.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some wordy topics, I suppose, or number topics, and we both
Bible codes.
Yeah, we both joked with each other while we were researching that we had headaches from all the numbers. And I don't know about you, but I haven't put up with that much math and numbers since Mr. Mickelson's class in 8th grade. But
I'm starting in a beautiful mind too.
But before we get things going, what we're going to do is give you we'll start off with numerology and give you just a sort of a textbook definition of what numerology is. So take a look at this and we will be right back.
How does numerology work? Often associated with astrology, numerology is the belief in the divine, mystical, and special relationship between numbers and events in the real world. Those that study numerology study the symbolism of numbers. It is often used to determine particular characteristics about a certain person, including their personality, strengths, talents, inner needs, and emotional reactions. Numerology is not a new phenomenon. The relationship between numbers and coinciding events has been noted for thousands of years. Indeed, numerology's history stretches all the way back to ancient Egypt and Babylonia. The field was first formally organized by a well-known mathematician, Pythagoras, about 26,000 years ago in ancient Greece.
And that was courtesy of Numerology Secrets on YouTube, so check them out if you're interested in numerology. So Brian, tell us a little bit about why we're bringing up numerology.
Well, this is what it's part of the hidden secrets of Hollywood and Washington, D.C. And they do things by numbers. Like George Bush Jr. was in Skull and Bones with John Kerry.
Right.
And there's a number 322 is like they'll show the Skull and Bones and then their 322 will be underneath it. So I don't know exactly what they use it for. But people call that Skull and Bones a killing secret society or a death society.
Right.
Or something. It's crazy. So in 2004, Tim Russert, they were doing the Bush and Kerry election. And they both were in the Skull and Bones. So Tim Russert came on and he says, Skull and Bones, and they totally blew it off like it was nothing and couldn't talk about it because it's a secret society,
Right.
So and then he ends up dying a few years later, but I don't think it's because of that. Then 9/11 comes along, and 9/11 is a huge number to them too. And in I think 72, Rockefeller is on Time magazine or Newsweek magazine, and he's got his arm over his leg, and it's got a watch, and it says 9/11, and he's right in front of the Twin Towers.
So you think that was a clue or a hint that he knew?
It's one of those pre things where they tell you before
predetermined, predestined events.
Predictive programming, kind of.
Right. So you said Rockefeller, and it was 1972. So
like
they predicted it almost 30 years in advance.
It's like they knew what they were going to do. Change 2 into 1. Just like on remember we talked about Back to the Future?
Right.
And he goes into this Twin Pines parking lot to go race the DeLorean or whatever.
Twin Pines Mall,
yeah. And when he gets there, I think it's 1:19 in the morning or something. So you flip it around, it's 9/11. And then after the Arabian terrorist comes and shoots up the place, it turns into Lone Pine, maybe not Lisa's Lone Pine, but, but wasn't it a Lone Pine Mall or something like that?
Right. Yeah.
Then it turns into one.
Lisa's Lone Pine. And nobody watching this will know what that means except for you and I, and maybe
Bud Light.
6 people in Flint. But well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, my only experience on numerology is really the mystical side of it with like Glennis McCants and stuff that breaks down your names and stuff like that.
Right.
So
yeah, I got your name.
So you did numerology on my name?
I think it's Gematria or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Well,
and Daniel Floyd is 107, and the numerology is 8 because you add the 1 and the 7 and the 0.
It always breaks down to a single number.
Right. And Conspiracy Beers is actually 220, and it breaks down to 4.
Shouldn't it be 420?
Whoa. And this guy I know, Daniel Steele, his is 88, and breaks down to 7.
So Daniel Steele is Eric Lindros. Is that what you're saying?
I think concussed. And mine is 156, goes to 3. Snake is actually 50. It goes to 5.
Shelf Snake.
And adrenochrome, this will be kind of weird. 119. Like I was saying, backwards 9/11.
Yeah, but it breaks down to one number, doesn't it?
Yeah, it goes to numerology.
So what do all those numbers mean?
I really don't know. They like the A or the numbers go with the letters or the alphabet. Like A equals 1, B 2, C 3, and then
so it breaks down into a code, basically.
Right.
So you mentioned Gematria, and I wrote down sort of the textbook definition of that. Is the ancient spiritual practice of coding numbers into words, which there are all sorts of strange videos and stuff you can watch on YouTube and other places that talk about Gematria and associating deaths. And you had brought up before we went on the air about the girl from Glee.
Yeah.
And they broke down the date she died. And
well, that's on Wayfair though, as they were selling a picture frame or a picture or something, and it was breaking down all her numbers. Like she was born January something, and that's how much the price of the picture was.
Right.
Was $1 million. Here it is. She was born. Wait, that's not it. Sorry. Oh, there it is. She drowned in Lake Piru at 33 years old, which is 33 is a big number for them too, for like Masons. 33rd degree Mason. 33 is when Jesus was crucified. So the area from this picture was the area that Lake Piru is 19.38 on the, what are they called? Code or where like on Google Earth.
Right.
Put them on.
Oh, you're talking about like their
I can't remember what the fucking called.
I know what you mean, but go ahead.
Okay, and then she was 33 when she died, like I said. This picture, it was something Rivera, and it was 33 inches by 19.38, like the things we were just talking about,
right?
But not. And she was born on January 12th of 1987, which is 1/12/1987, and the picture cost $1,121,987, which is 1/12/1987. But that's on Wayfair, and it's one of those things. Like, why would they do that? I don't get it. It's craziness in itself. It's a number game.
So you think numbers are like the ultimate breakdown and coding of everything? Or that's just basically how they hide everything is within.
I'm sure, yeah, both. Really. They hide it and show it in front of our face to.
Because there was like some Gematria videos that I watched and stuff that I read were talking about how, however, through Gematria, which I don't completely understand, that they can explain or
Jenny Orr?
Yeah, we'll not go there. That they can explain like Kobe's death and stuff like that.
Right.
Like it's almost predetermined that it was going to happen at this time because of the breakdown in the numbers of Gematria. You take the date and the time and stuff like that, and like you said,
break it down for me, fellas.
So I don't know. Maybe Gematria is too deep and intellectual of a topic for you and I of simple brain matter to be able to figure out, or maybe we're just not stoned enough to be able to understand it at all.
You want to? Or?
Well, I did say 420, but it is what. But one thing that I do think is cool about all of this is something else we're going to talk about, and that was Bible codes. So before we get into the Bible code chat, we have another quick little sort of explanation video about Bible codes. So take a look at this.
So what is Bible code? When I tell you, you aren't going to believe it's real. You're going to think it's a troll, but I assure you it's 100% real. People actually legitimately believe this stuff, and they live their lives by it. So what is it? Bible code is basically a system of taking letters spaced a certain distance apart and deriving a secret hidden message from it. So say you take the book of Genesis, and you pull out every 22nd letter from the entire book. Then you put them together, and you get a sentence that predicts Hitler's rise to power, for example. Can Kent Hovind is a pretty big fan and buys the whole thing, hook, line, and sinker. Honestly, it isn't a short leap from religious fanatic who believes every word of the Bible is inspired by God to religious fanatic who believes God put secret messages in the Bible. Kent Hovind is quoted as saying, "All the computers in the world couldn't possibly write a book where the text means something as you read it, but also there's a hidden code." I beg to differ, Kent. Even computers from the 1990s were capable of doing that kind of thing. You'd be surprised what they were capable of. Eliyahu Rips and Doron Whitstone were the first people to write software to find patterns in the Bible, or at least the first people of note. They did a formal test called the Great Rabbis Experiment in 1985, where they searched for the names and dates of birth and death for a number of rabbis in the Hebrew text. And in 1994, Statistical Science, a peer-reviewed journal, published a paper they wrote entitled The Equidistant Letter Sequences in Genesis. But it was really popularized by a book named The Bible Code, written by Michael Dronson in 1997.
Brian so eloquently showed you there. It was
Got a little jam.
Bible Code got big in 1997 by the book by Michael Drosnin, and we're going to talk quite a bit about that because I think we're might be, I can't answer because we didn't talk off air about what side of this we're on, but we were talking during that video about something, so we'll go ahead and just deep dive into the whole monster.
Well, like we've talked about in recent episodes, that you can almost do this with any book, you know. Obviously, Da Vinci Code. And this Da Vinci stuff, when they were talking about this, you know, he did the V or whatever in the Last Supper picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't around then. What the fuck people believe this guy for? You know? So that bothers me. But yeah, like I said, you can do that in almost any book. But we were talking about the monster drink, and on the can, it's got the 3 scratches, like they're beast scratches,
Like a monster.
like
scratch.
a monster scratch. But in Hebrew, those are number 6s on each one. So it's 666. And I'm sure people have seen the video of a lady talking about it. And she goes really deep into it. You tilt it up and it says feed the beast and all this stuff. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know if I believe into a lot of people believe in it. It's crazy.
You have the book. Did you read?
I actually bought this at Goodwill.
Huh?
Just to say I had
Just
it.
to have in
Because I don't
your
read
just to
shit.
have in your conspiracy collection.
Yeah, all right.
Well, one thing that's interesting to me about Michael Drosnin is he came out after that book sort of blew up, and he was on Art Bell and all these places really promoting the Bible Code. And we'll get into the conspiracy side of it here in a second. But he had made a claim that extraterrestrials were the ones that actually instilled the codes into the Bible. And he went on to say that they also brought the DNA genetic code to the earth, you know, thousands of years ago before.
Maybe.
So whether that makes him a crackpot or not, I don't know. But the big sort of conspiracy side everybody hears about how, you know, they bring out, you know, you can find Hitler's name in the Bible. Right. And even some of the videos now you're watching, you can find Trump's name, and you can find Pelosi's name, or even, you know, conspiracy theorists probably.
I imagine.
And that's
it's right all over the Bible Code, I imagine.
That's my issue with it. In one of the videos that I did watch that I was going to record and play on here that I didn't because I didn't want to get too debunking on it, but this guy was actually a Bible scholar, PhD scholar, and he made the great point that you can't take the Bible, what's written in the Bible now, and use it as fact, because the Dead Sea Scrolls, there's portions of it missing.
Right.
So priests and whatnot that wrote the Bible actually just sort of filled in those spots that were missing back then.
Like
So
Enoch.
right. And the other not conspiracy, but the other debunking portion of Bible codes is like you just mentioned, it's all a matter of sequencing. So if you're just going to go every 20 letters and you go through any book of the Bible and okay, nothing comes up. Okay, well, let's do
less letters.
10 letters or 20 letters, 30 letters or whatever.
Do whatever you want and something's going to pop up, I imagine.
Right. And like you said earlier, it's kind of weird because you can take books like Moby Dick or something like that and do the exact same thing.
Right.
So is it a hidden code?
It's tough.
I don't know, but
there's a shit ton of people that fucking believe in it.
Oh, I don't doubt for
scholars,
right? Well, there's definitely scholars, and there's religious scholars, especially like with the Quran and the Torah, that are really big on the Bible code because all of those are
Hebrew,
right?
That's what this is all about. This has got all the Hebrew stuff in it. You know, I never read it.
So that's why you didn't read it, because it's all in Hebrew.
Well, I mean, it tells you about it, but these are like the Hebrews parts.
So what do you think is the conspiracy part of a Bible code? Do you think it's just sort of people say the conspiracy people will say that, see, they're telling us here from thousands of years ago.
If you have common sense, you got to know that this could happen in any book, really. I would think, you know, maybe some conspiracy theorists don't have common sense, but yeah, I don't know if it's really conspiracy, because Nostradamus read the Bible once a year, supposedly, and he could tell the future, and supposedly that's what Bible code does, is tell the future. You know,
I was actually going to bring up Nostradamus, whether his visions and stuff and his quatrains were part of sort of the subliminal Bible codes.
Could be.
So what do you think about Nostradamus and his predictions and his
what was he talking about? Like Hitler, he said Hister, right?
Hister, right.
Well, what was Hitler's other guy's name, his buddy? Wasn't it Hister?
No, but what Hister has also been translated or interpreted as the river that flows through Germany and Austria. Right. So,
yeah, I mean, who's the other one? The newer one,
the American.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm having a mental block on his name right now, but I know who you're talking about. So you're talking about Edgar Casey.
Right, and, right. I knew you knew the answer to that.
Yeah, that's because I Googled it. Well, but he has some interesting ones, because he did his in dream sequencing, where he would like lay down and dream things and talk in his sleep, apparently. And he'd have somebody sitting there scribing what he was dreaming.
It's amazing. Yeah, so I think, I mean, people have visions and shit happens. Like Trump was a vision, kind of.
A Vision of Love by Mariah Carey.
But yeah, another thing I was gonna bring up was shit, dude. I can't remember what it was. It was something to do with numbers.
Colors.
Hear it. All right, go ahead. I can't remember what it was.
So ultimately what they're saying is there's this sort of predestined code that
they say God made it, right?
Right.
But who said that aliens made it?
Michael Drosden had stated that
the guy who wrote the book.
Right. Michael Drosden states that aliens instilled the codes into the Bible. So is that him saying that he doesn't think my first day talking English.
Doesn't.
He doesn't think that there was a God, so the aliens instilled.
Well, what was that movie where aliens go up? It's recently, not too recent, but
You're asking me about a recent movie, yeah.
that one where they do the aliens. Here we go. Pause.
So we can't remember what the name of the movie is, but we've talked about that in previous episodes where you think Hollywood sort of has the in with the deep state.
They know some shit. Even the CIA, like we talked before, the CIA gave them tips on what to do for movies, and the military's done it. Obviously, there's a ton of military movies.
Well, they definitely did it in like World War II when Hollywood is making all those pro-America, anti-Japanese, anti-Nazi movies. So one other thing I wanted to bring up, which will sort of lead into something else that not necessarily we're going to talk about next time, but in a future episode, is I sent you a video about the mystery of the Portland, Oregon, I think it was Portland, radio station 96.7 and the weird sounds that were coming out. But take a look at this video of the sounds that were coming out of the station, and we'll explain it here in just a quick second.
KZRYLP, Portland.
So day 2 of this radio station, 96.7 FM, Portland, Oregon. It's doing this again.
I leave Olive Garden.
And I bet as soon as we leave, we're going to go eat. It's like yesterday. It's not going to be doing this anymore.
And it's not even the same time of day either.
Yeah, because it was like, what, 4 or 5-ish when we went out?
It's like 5:30.
It's 5:30, and now you can't see it because it's back here. Wait, when I zoom in. It's 12:45.
Carlson handles the countdown as the launch vehicle begins to build up. We're now hitting the 4-minute mark. 4 minutes and counting. We are go for Apollo 11. We'll go on an automatic sequence starting at 3 minutes and 7 seconds.
The engines that generate that thrust combined horsepower equals 543 jet fighter planes.
I'm having more fun listening to this than being on like YouTube or anything else.
As much as a
And like I said, that's from the mystery of 96.7 FM in Portland, which was a station that went off the air, but people kept hearing those weird sounds and stuff after it was off the air. Now, since it's back on the air, it's now a hip-hop station, but there was nothing in between the time that the station shut down till now. But people in Portland were tuning into it and noticing these weird sounds and like speeches from Kennedy and stuff like that. So it kind of it piqued my interest because somebody had asked whether we talked about the Taos hum or harp before. So I thought maybe it was a good segue to lead into next time we can, or a future podcast we can talk about that, because
I think CERN has a lot to do with harp too. And I've never heard of the Taos hum.
Right. So. Well, there was one in Michigan too a long time ago in the UP, which sort of like the Taos hum, where certain people, not everybody, could just hear this ringing in the ear, this constant humming, and it's sort of a weird. And I know you had mentioned harp when I brought it up to you. So,
well, have you ever heard of the voice of God weapon?
No, I haven't. What is that?
See, all these people that I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that say they hear stuff, right? And what it is just talking to them. Someone's talking to these people and telling them to do things. And it's probably like school shooters and even other things. It's
like Son of Sam. He allegedly his neighbor's dog was talking to him.
Yeah. How's it going?
How you doing?
What up, dog? So then, shit. Where are we at? What are we talking about? Oh, harp and
right.
So then, harp, it shoots up frequencies and it supposedly bounces off our ozone or something up there that bounces off and hits the ground, so they can cause earthquakes and weather control and stuff like that. But we'll probably next time we'll talk about that. It's gonna be a long one.
Well, in a future one, because there's a lot to dig into with that. But with the 96.7 thing, do you think that was because part of the explanation, and it was sort of strange that this low rent housing projects building is the one that actually had legal ownership of 96.7 at that time. So why would they be playing that stuff over the air? And allegedly, according to some people, why they had it is so they could broadcast messages to their tenants and stuff. But I mean, why
weird shit?
Yeah. I mean, why are you playing, Kennedy and moon landing audio, and those weird beeping sounds and stuff? That was just,
it's like
or is it some kind of mind control thing? I don't know.
You're right. They could be telling people certain things with that music or something.
I mean, there was that one episode of the X-Files that way back in the sort of infancy of cable TV, where they were hooking up the subliminal things into people's TV and it's causing them to kill people.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it does.
And there's a lot of weird stuff going on in Portland right now, which I know the video was from 2017.
Right. It was probably telling them in a couple of years, you guys are going to burn this motherfucker down.
So other than harp and that stuff that we'll get into in a future podcast, is there something that you wanted to talk about that we haven't yet? I know that now that we're doing video, we can sort of take this everywhere.
Like videos.
Right.
Yeah, it could be, this could be explosive. For both of us in trouble.
Right. I mean, you're the eye candy. I'm just here to to kind of steer the ship.
Like fucking slowpoke. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about harp. That's going to be good. So we harp will be next week, right? Or next time.
Right.
That would be a good one because there's actually a Smurf cartoon that talks about HARP. And HARP, I think, has to do with, like I said, CERN, and the Mandela effect has something to do with or HARP too. I think, like, it's fucking weird, man, because they changed the Bible too, and so their codes are probably fucked up.
Well, I mean, that's one of my issues with the Bible is priests back in the old days are the ones that picked and choose
Right.
which books of the Bible
know,
were
it's
going to get
frustrating,
used.
too.
So
And the book of Enoch actually talks about the angels coming down and mating with our women, and why wouldn't they want that out of the Bible? You know what I'm saying?
no, was that the Nephilim or?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I mean, I'm not religious, but I do know something.
It has nothing to do with religion, really. You know, aliens.
I do know aliens, yeah. I mean, I haven't been anal probed, but
Whoa,
I do know
I think
aliens.
you
Quiet you. Just that one time when we were really drunk.
Hear
but
it?
Wait, I'm going to edit that.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to talk about coming up in
Um,
future episodes?
Nah, I don't think so. I mean,
Something will come up as it always
yeah,
does.
something. We got news every week.
Well, then let me just say that if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to subscribe on video at YouTube, or we're going to be on YouTube as well. And if you listen on audio, you can subscribe at iTunes or Spotify or iHeartRadio or TuneIn or wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. You'll be able to find Conspiracy Bearists. So until next time, don't take our word for it.
Do your research.
Later.
Ryan and I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you enjoy this podcast, don't forget to subscribe either wherever it is you listen to the podcast or on YouTube. And if you have a suggestion of a conspiracy you'd like us to talk about, let us know on Facebook or YouTube at Conspiracy Bearists. And until next time, remember, the truth is out there. You just have to know where to look.
WLLP Spock Rock Radio.